the meeting for other items. Issues raised by the public may or may not be responded to by the board, but all comments shall be considered. The board requests that all members of the public be mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Due to the confidentiality and legal rights afforded by the state of New Jersey, members of the public are asked not to speak negatively or in a derogatory manner about any employee of the board or any student. Roll call.
Mr. Fallon.
Here.
Mr. Garvin.
Here.
Mrs. Milano is absent. Mr. Vaccaro is absent. Mr. Biamonte.
Present.
Mr. Nieves.
Present. All right, let's get on to the fun stuff. So on to our student of the month for January. Lara, you're up first.
Good evening, everyone. This year, the Doyle staff has broadened its categories for Student of the Month nominations to create a more inclusive recognition program. Each month, we will highlight different areas of student achievement. And for this past month, we were excited to focus on writing. Our Students of the Month, or our Writers of the Month, were nominated and selected based on students who demonstrate outstanding talent, interest, and effort in writing. We believe that highlighting these young writers not only encourages them to keep pursuing this creative passion, but also fosters an appreciation for literacy. Recipients of this honor received a certificate of achievement. They also have their photos prominently displayed outside our main office on our TV, as well as on our website and our social media page. I now present to you the K through 3 Writers of the Month. In kindergarten, Milo Ramos. I believe he's on vacation, but I promised I'd shout him out at the next meeting too. Grade 1, Arna Arman Narayan. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Come on up, Arna. Congrats, girlie. Way to go. Okay. In grade 2, Zoe Agarwal. Come on up, Zoe. And grade 3, Luke Mikowski. Way to go, pal. Okay, we're going to pose right there. Okay, scoot over a little bit. Okay. Awesome job. Way to go. Keep it up.
Hello. How are we? Good. Okay. To follow along with Ms. Schmidt. As she said, we recognize students monthly for different events in different parts of our community. So today at the intermediate school, we are recognizing noteworthy musicians. And the first one I would like to call up is Amelia Ocampo, 4th grader. Come on up. So we asked Amelia, here you go, and we asked Amelia, why did Mr. Salem pick lessons and love acting? Adeline is an aspiring actress. She has presently been in the production of The Polar Express. She had to pass several hurdles to get this gig. Pronunciation was very important. She needed to be a certain height, able to remember her lines in the script. And she spent many hours traveling to New York City for rehearsals in a studio, and then came rehearsals on the train itself, located in Whippany, New Jersey. All in all, this was a great experience for Adeline, and in hoping to do another production sometime this year. Congratulations, Adeline. Stay here. Well done.
Good evening, everyone. As winter settles in and the school year reaches its midpoint, it can be easy to lose momentum. However, these students of the month have demonstrated exceptional focus and staying committed to their goals despite the distractions and challenges that come with this time of year. Their dedication and ability to stay on track set them apart as role models. Their ability to stay engaged and manage their responsibilities with consistency is truly commendable. These students exemplify what it means to maintain focus, proving that dedication leads to success. Congratulations to each of them for staying the course and setting a strong example. For the 7th grade, we have Kayla Marr. For the 8th grade, we have Anaya Marinon. For the 9th grade, we have Ava Claire Dubenziek. For the 10th grade, we have William Guerrero, who is not here tonight. For the 11th grade, we have Maya Cruz, who also is not here tonight. And for 12th grade, we have Desiree Chitola, which she is our exchange student from Italy this year and has been doing such an amazing job at Woodridge Junior Senior High School. Let's just take a picture. Here, I'll go this way. One's taller than me. Good. Thanks, guys. Congratulations.
Students, congratulations. Speaking of students, Dev, we have your report.
For the student report, January was a quick and quiet month at Woodridge Junior Senior High School. The Glee Club and Blue Devil Band enjoyed a trip to medieval times for a show and lunch. The month concluded with midterms. In February, the second marking period ended. Report cards were released and 190 students made the honor roll. All honor roll students will be treated to a breakfast this Thursday. Course selections for the 2025-2026 school year are complete. Guidance counselors visited all English classes to assist students in choosing their courses. Now guidance and administration will begin working on their master schedule for next year. Ms. Mano hosted another choir workshop with Richfield Park and Garfield, creating a beautiful day of singing and collaboration. Last Friday, Mr. Hassinger's chemistry class went to a glass coloring and blowing workshop. Students learned about how professional glass blowers shape and color various types of glass, as well as observed how glass is fused. Students rotated around 3 stations, each focusing on a different property of the amorphous solid glass. Students also observed how elements of various colors created colored glass that may not match up with the original color of the element or even spectroscopic color. Now for athletics. We will be hosting our Winter Sports Award next Tuesday, March 4th in the Auditorium at 5:30 p.m. All are welcome to attend. Woodridge wrestlers concluded their season as we had 3 fourth-place finishers in districts. Nicholas Prado, Jack Canizero, and Abdul Elkish all wrestled tough and will return next year as the future looks bright for Woodridge. Beckton has 2 wrestlers that have advanced into a regional tournament this Saturday. Boys and girls basketball concluded their season. Both teams showed great effort throughout the season and look forward to returning many starters within both programs. A special shout out to our winter cheer team for cheering on both teams and executing great routines. Bowling had an opening round victory in the state tournament, but recently lost to West Caldwell Tech in the second round.
Trustees, any questions? Oh, sorry, Dev, sorry. I wanted to ask you a question myself, but
Winter track showed great growth throughout this season as many athletes hit their personal record. Isabella Drodis placed 4th in the 800-meter race, and Malia Irving also placed 4th in the 200-meter Bergen County Meet of Champs. Middle school basketball had excellent seasons. Both finished with a 10-2 record. Excellent effort by our middle schoolers. That's all.
thank you, Dev. So now that you're a senior, do you know how many days you have left in school? Not that many, okay. I was usually counting.
75, I believe. 75, I believe.
All right, so we're going to move on to a regular course of business. There'll be a presentation regarding our audit, but if anybody wants to take a break for a minute and go back to home, or you don't have to stay, we will not be insulted. So I'll take a break for a minute, and if you exit, great. If not, we'll get started in 1 minute. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Matt, I'll speak with you, Matt. Thank you, Devin.
Bye, Dev. Oh, my God, wow. So we should be saying congratulations to Mickey. Mickey, I just learned congratulations are in order, so
It's old hat for him.
I don't know if it's congratulations, but
Three more weeks? 17. I'll call you before. I can't. I start coming back. Something interrupted. Good night. Good night.
I think it's because I said audit. I said audit. They all departed. So anyway, let's get to our normal course of business. We'll go on to our 2024 audit presentation. Switch on the top.
There you go. All right. Alex Burries from Lurch, Vinci and Bliss. Thank you for having me, by the way. We've completed your June 30th, 2024 audit. Everyone should have received 2 documents, the first being your annual comprehensive financial report, and the second was your auditor's management report, the same document. As far as your annual comprehensive report, there's 3 opinions in that report, all of which are unmodified. The unmodified opinion represents a clean opinion, which are free of any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. Usually we talk about your general fund balance, which is your operating fund of the district. Your general fund decreased slightly, around 300,000, from 6.1 million to approximately 5.8 million, but there are some restrictions to the fund balance. The first being your capital reserve. In your capital reserve is approximately 3 million. Those are restricted for your capital projects that are in your long-range facilities plan. We have 534,000 in your maintenance reserve, which is restricted for your required maintenance projects. 96,000 in your emergency reserve, which is restricted for your school security purposes and any excess health costs. 233,000 in your unemployment reserve, which is restricted for your unemployment claims. Approximately 54,000 is your open encumbrances. These are your purchase orders that are open at year end that roll into your current 24-25 budget where the services and goods were not rendered. 969,000 of the fund balance is used to balance your current 24-25 budget. And then lastly, your 2% max that the state allows you to keep is approximately 888,000. As far as any recommendations, there were 8 total recommendations in this year's audit. 2 of them which were repeats from the prior year. We met with management and Finance Chairman, Mr. Garvin, where we discussed all the recommendations in detail. And on tonight's agenda is the corrective action plan that addresses each recommendation and how Mr. Lisa is going to implement the procedures to correct those recommendations. But overall, financially, you're in good condition. You have some healthy reserves, and the 8 recommendations we don't consider material weaknesses or significant. We classify them as just general recommendations that can be easily fixed. So if there's any questions on any recommendations or on the fund balance, I can take those at this time.
You know, I always like to ask, did you receive the full cooperation of the business administrator?
Yeah. I'd like to, thank the business office and the superintendent's office for, full cooperation and everything that we asked for, we received.
It's my understanding that 6 of the 8 recommendations have been implemented, so we are trying to move as expeditiously as possible.
Okay, great.
Trustees, any other questions? I really wanted to get ahead of Chris and ask that question myself, but
Just one last question.
Yeah.
We worked very hard, this board, to establish reserves. Are our reserves excessive in any way?
No, so your capital reserve is actually 56% of what the maximum amount is. Your maintenance is 50% of the maximum amount, and then your emergency reserve is 38%. So, you're not the full max.
not too long ago, we were only at 1.2 million for our capital reserve. So
Right.
the investment we've made into that has been quite significant.
And that's certainly a testament to this board here and our financial responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. All right, on to our BA report.
Good evening, everyone. With February soon coming to a close, I'm happy to report that the business office has finalized all tax-related submissions to the state and federal government. I'd like to thank my wonderful staff in the business office for their hard work and efforts in getting these monumental tasks done. I'd also like to thank Mr. Baris and his team from Lawyers Fincy and Bliss for finalizing of our audit, as you have just heard, prepared and presented. His efforts have gone a long way in improving our practices and procedures, and I look forward to continued successes resulting from their recommendations. As part of Mr. Baris's presentation, he indicated his findings, which have included as part of our corrective action plan that is being approved under Board Operations 12 this evening. I am happy to report, as Mr. Garvin had mentioned, that our plan has already addressed many of the issues indicated and will address all findings by year's end. Finally, along with the usual work of the business office involving purchasing and payroll, we have been submerged in the process of producing our budget for the 2025-2026 school year. The preliminary budget is anticipated to be put forth for board approval at our scheduled meeting in March. I'd like to thank our teachers and administrators for their efforts in getting to me anticipated budgeted purchases for next year, while not even halfway through this year. Along with their already busy schedules, this is a difficult task for anyone, requires a lot of knowledge and also quite a bit of ability to predict the future. I would also like to thank the board, and especially Mr. Garvin, for his work and support in these efforts. I look forward to formally presenting our final budget later in the school year. This is the conclusion of my report. Thank you.
Trustees, any questions? So if I understand correctly, we have our next meeting, which is moving to the 18th, and that will be the preliminary before it gets
Correct.
actually submitted. All right. Mr. Albro is going to take us through his superintendent report, and we actually have a presentation, so I'll ask that we actually step to the sides or down to a seat.
Good evening, everyone. Before I begin my presentation, I just want to recognize one of our new administrative staff members, Ms. Elizabeth Terminini. Ms. Terminini visited our district a few weeks ago. We held a workshop in combination with the Division of Developmentally Disabled. It was a great workshop on one evening. We didn't have snow that night. It worked out very well. Ms. Terminini was appointed at our last meeting. Barring interruption, she should be here towards the end of the month of March. We will have a cooperative meeting of our district and our parent advisory network at some point around the time Ms. T begins, so that she can meet everyone formally. But I do just want to recognize Ms. Liz Terminini and welcome her to Woodridge. And Ms. Terminini, perhaps after the meeting, we can meet the board. Thank you, dear. In my presentation this evening, I'm reporting out about chronic absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism is something that impacts almost every district in the state. And throughout this presentation this evening, I'm going to outline what is it that makes us be deemed a chronically absent district, how each student contributes to that, and some of the myths associated with it in terms of students not coming to school, what's excused from the school level perspective, but what's not excused by the state. So chronic absenteeism is defined as a student is chronically absent if they're absent from school for 10% or more of the school year. In the state of New Jersey, the minimum number of days that a school is required to be open is 180 school days. A chronically absent student based on a 180-day school day requirement is a student marked absent for 18 or more days. This includes any absence. The school year is 10 months long, and a chronically absent student has missed as few as 2 days of school a month beginning in September. Truancy in the state of New Jersey is defined as having 10 or more unexcused absences where they're not accounted for. Each school district, as per our district policy, can determine whether a student absence be unexcused or excused. This is for the district's count only, and all absences count toward the state's chronic absenteeism rate. What is the big deal? Chronic absenteeism is a primary cause of low academic achievement and a powerful predictor of students who may eventually drop out of school. Attending school every day, obviously, increases chances of success in school and in life. By grade 6, along with earned academic marks, absenteeism is a top predictor of dropout rate. And I've listed on our presentation for the public here and at home and the board our 4-year graduation rate. So a certain cohort of students starting at the same time as freshmen at the end of 4 years. So in 21, still coming out of COVID, 88.2% of our students in that cohort graduated. In 22 was 88.1, and in 23, 90.7. New Jersey, based on the states that have reported 22-23 data, has the lowest chronic absenteeism rate in the nation. More than 70% of New Jersey schools have 10% or more of students chronically absent. Now, the state excuses about 7 different things as an absence, and they're recorded a certain way on the student's attendance every day. The state recognizes as an excused absence a list of religious observances that are approved by the state each year, up to 3 school days per school year for college visits for students in grades 11 and 12 where travel does not count. Take Our Children to Work Day, participation in observance of Veterans Day, participation in district board of election membership activities, which we've had student groups in the last few elections participate as helpers, the closure of a busing district that prevents a student from having transportation to the receiving school, and participation in one civic event. This is the newest excused absence for students in grades 6 through 12. The absence can only be applied to an event sponsored by a government entity, a community-based organization, or a nonprofit. The event is required to incorporate an element of service learning and address a public issue or concern. What is an excused absence in Woodridge with the appropriate documentation, but not excused as far as New Jersey is concerned? Any student illness with parental note or medical note, driver license testing date, court appearances, absences consistent with individualized education programs, the Individuals with Disabilities Act, healthcare plans, etc., suspension, death in the family, medical, dental appointments, as deemed by the building principal on appeal from the student's parent. So those types of absences are backed up with paperwork. They're counted as excused absences, but every one of those excused absences in our district and in many districts in our state, they are not excused from the state's perspective. The law basically says if 10% or more of the students enrolled in a public school are chronically absent, the school shall develop a corrective action plan. The school shall solicit input from parents of students currently attending the school. At a minimum, there's a parental survey. The school and/or district shall present the cap to the Board of Education. The school and/or district shall annually review and revise the document and present to the board until the percent of students who are chronically absent is less than 10%. This is the first time that we've been cited as chronically absent in quite some time. Now, to give you a comparison of the last few years in chronic absenteeism, in 22-23, you can see Doyle's percentage, the intermediate school percentage, the high school percentage, and then the percentages last year. The Doyle School had a chronic absenteeism of 10.2%, which deems it as chronically absent. The intermediate school, smaller student population, 5.7%, and the high school, 15.8%. Now, anything in the high school does not reflect out-of-district special ed students who do count in our absences, but the state hasn't given us the data yet. So we have the overall absences, but not the total quantity of dates and when. And that has been the unknown that later on in my presentation, you'll see how we're going to address that. And I also did a snapshot of today. Any student who has 10 or more absences as of today, which is about 105th day. And currently we've almost have halved our rating from last year, of course, subject to the remaining 75 days or so, at 5, 3.6, and 6.6. So I'm hopeful that last year was an aberration. As far as numbers as opposed to percentages, those are the numbers of students who were rated chronically absent last year, 50, 13, and 80. And currently, by Doyle Intermediate School, High School, 24, 9, and 36. And again, 36 are inclusive of out-of-district students. A parental survey was shared via Google earlier this month. In responding, families were asked to indicate the following information: grade level of their student, number of absences thus far in the school year, and we had 3 different rankings, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and general reasons for absences. And these were some of the reasons that were given. We had about 358 responses. Illness, sports, vacation, personal, special needs, sports injury, mental health, school avoidance, half days, medical appointments, transportation, family emergencies or functions, sports travel, student refusal, speaking about climate and culture, conflict in schedule for kids in and out of district. That's an example of, I have a high school student who might attend the Bergen school, and the Woodward schools are open, but the Bergen schools are closed. The parents' hope was for us to be on the same page so one doesn't stay home and one doesn't. That's a fight that they don't want to fight anymore. Aftercare, some parents have concerns about aftercare, and they feel that a more supportive aftercare program would result in their students coming to school more often. Religious observances and HIB. In the survey, families were asked to identify actions that the school district could take to reduce the number of absences for their children. Many of these were repetitive, but I listed them all for you. Understanding, classroom cleanliness related to illness, more after-school activities for special needs. Nothing, it's the responsibility of the parent. Staff development on 504s and IEPs. Other families that send in sick children are getting my children sick. Do not count tardies to school cumulatively as an absence. That occurs in the high school. If you're late a certain amount of time to a class in the high school, you're no longer late, you're absent. Allow more days of absence if the student is a strong student and can make up work. So if they do go away, allow them to take more days off because they're not going to miss that much work. They're that good in their work ethic. Stagger drop-off and pickup time between the Doyle School and the intermediate school. Continuing, perhaps put a reward system together. Nothing, my child loves school. An automated system to report illness or absence. Offer 1 mental health day per marking period. Of course, if we have 180 school days in the year, if I give everybody a day off, that doesn't count as a day of school. We have too many half days. Parents are citing the fact that they have to take off from work for a half day, and then the students stay home. Give actual days off, not half days. One reply was to, rather than have 6 half days, have 3 full days. Let's start post-winter recess later, returning from vacation, as opposed to January 2nd. Start later, perhaps start the next week, the school calendar, but again, that puts our school year later. Reduce the 24-hour fever rule. That's basically a rule that mainly applies to elementary school. If your child gets sent home or is reported to have a fever, the school asks that you wait 24 hours fever-free before you return to school, absent any sort of medication. Need more academic program and playtime with friends. Need more school counseling. Sometimes the school workload is too much for a child to handle. A lack of outdoor recess area. Ability to receive homework if absent. Cross-cultural themes and events are needed. We need remote learning with a doctor's note. Again, the doctor's note makes you absent according to the state. What we're doing to respond. Anytime a student's absent, there's daily confirmation with the home. One parent cited the need for an automated system. Parent can call into school, the parent can email into school. Any medical note is placed on file. Communication from school to home, should absences be excessive or in certain patterns or trend, by the quarter, by the semester, by the full year. More frequent communication with out-of-district placements for students receiving special services. Counseling as needed. Administrative discussion with individual teachers for the recognitions of patterns, day before a test, that sort of thing. Case study team, case managers, child study team case managers providing support to those students on their caseload with attendance issues. As a former school building principal, one of the most difficult things is to send that letter home, because I already know what the response is going to be. I have a doctor's note for these 5 days. We are away for those 4 days. I hate to use the expression, don't shoot the messenger. The administrator is just doing their job, because the reality is the federal government and the state government supply money to the school districts, and they have a certain degree of accountability. One component of the accountability is the money that they're sending for these school districts to operate are their students going to school. So when myself or any of my colleagues sends a notice home, we're not trying to cause upset. We're basically demonstrating to the state that we are keeping track of absences, because that's what they want us to do, and that we're following through. And of course, with every communication is the offer of, what can we do to help you? And in some cases, the reasons that I listed from the survey are brought up at that moment, and the principal can then jump in and intervene and refer to whatever service in the school that might help them. That concludes my presentation. At some point later in the school year, I will give another corrective action plan based upon what we're doing so far attendance-wise. As I mentioned, right now, as of today, our numbers are good. We've gotten through Christmas holiday recess, but I will revisit probably in April to see where our numbers stand at that point, with the hope of not having to give this report again next year. And of course, the state being as it is, I was informed 3 days ago that there's a chance they made a computation error on all of our numbers, and it's possible that we have less than I'm reporting tonight. If there are any questions, I'll take them as part of the open meeting to the public. Thank you.
Tony, was the person who made those numbers absent that day? Trustees, do we have any questions before, no? We're good with them? All right. Approval of minutes. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education approves minutes of the following meeting, public session meeting, January 27th, 2025. Mr. Fallon, Mr. Biamonte, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Garvin,
Yes.
Mr. Biamonte. Yes. Mr. Nieves.
Yes. All right, let's not change up a thing. I will go over the committee reports.
I have a special announcement, Mr. Nieves. I have learned that we're having some difficulty with our live streaming this evening. So if anybody at home is watching, should experience any sort of breakage or loss of service, et cetera, it's something that we're working on right now.
How many were logged in? Okay. They are? Okay, good. All right, curriculum and instruction, approval of district-wide summer learning acceleration program, approval of extended school year program, approval of field trip request, approval for CST home instruction out of district location, approval of home instruction extended, approval to purchase equipment, approval of field trip request, approval of evaluation request. On to personnel. Approval of 24-25 school safety, climate, and culture team appointments revised. Approval of a mentor, approval of personnel appointment 24-25 district substitutes, approval of a clinical internship, approval of a home instruction personnel, approval of a chaperone, approval of personnel appointments, extended school day program, approval of personnel appointment, and another, which includes Moonaki, approval of personnel appointments, extended school day program, and on to policy, approval of policies and approval of regulations, buildings and grounds, approval of facilities request, on to finance, approval of the bills list, approval of monthly financial report of the board secretary and treasurer, approval of the certification of a balanced budget, approval of the budget transfers, approval of fundraisers, two of them, one which includes Moonaki, approval of the NJ semi-corrective action plan for the 25-26 school year, and on to board operations. We have approval of the agreement with YBH of Passaic Hillel, a New Jersey non-public school to employ Robert Berger and the New Jersey STEM Initiative, August 25th, 2025 to June 26th, 2026. Approval of an agreement with Joseph Kushner Hebrew Academy, a New Jersey non-public school to employ Jonathan Hassinger as a STEM initiative from the 25th, 2025 to June 26th, 2026. And approval of an agreement with Miss Vita of Clifton, a New Jersey non-public school to employ Gabriel Ben Noon in the NJ STEM initiative, September 2nd, 2025 to June 25th, 2026. Approval of one-year affiliation agreement with CBH Care for the purpose of providing mental health clearances for the 2025 school year. Approval of a new 403B provider, Ameriprise Financial Inc. Approval of maintenance reserve withdrawal and appropriation, Tri-State Folding Partition Company, or Inc. Approval of maintenance reserve withdrawal and appropriation, Butler Water Corrections. Approval of maintenance reserve withdrawal and appropriation, Advanced Plumbing Inc. Approval of maintenance reserve withdrawal and appropriation, Granger Parts. Approval of maintenance reserve withdrawals and appropriation, Liberty Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Affirmation of the superintendent's report of incidents of harassment, intimidation, bullying, otherwise known as HUB, within the district, and approval of the audit report for the 23-24 school year and corrective action plan for the 24-25 school year. And lastly, approval of the wrestling shared services agreement between Woodbridge Board of Education and Carlstadt East Rutherford Regional Board of Education for the 2024-25, 2025-26, and the 2026 and 2027 school years. Trustees, any comments before I open it up to the public? All right, I will open it up to the public on the resolutions only. What do you got for me, Ted? Nothing? No one else? No one else? Okay, hearing none, seeing none in the audience. Any submitted online?
Nothing online.
All right, I will close the hearing of citizens. Trustees, let's see, Rich, if I can get this one right this week. Trustees, looking for your support, which includes Moonaki, curriculum instruction 1, 2, and 3, personnel 3, 4, 7, and 9, policy 1 and 2, buildings and grounds 1, finance 1 through 5 and 7, board operations 1 through 10, 12, and 13. Can I get a first? Mr. Garvin, second. Mr. Fallon, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Garvin,
Yes.
Mr. Diamante,
Yes.
Mr. Nieves,
Yes. Trustees, looking for your support. This is Woodridge only. Curriculum and instruction 4 through 8. Personnel 1, 2, 5, 6, 8, and 10. None for policy, none for buildings and grounds. Finance number 6 and board operations number 11. Mr. Biamonte, Mr. Fallon, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Garvin,
Yes.
Mr. Diamante,
Yes.
Mr. Nieves.
Yes. Trustees, thank you for your support as always. Before I open it up to the hearing of citizens, or anything I'd like to talk about, anything for unfinished or new business? No, no, no. All right, I will open it up to the hearing of citizens on anything you'd like to ask. Hello, just name and address for the record, please.
I'm Denise Bogach, 419 Inez Road. I have 2 special education students in the district, and I just learned from my case manager this week that the district intends to have a fully contained contained classroom for 7th and 8th graders, and that would be new for next year. So I wanted to say thank you for that because that's causing a lot of angst in my household. There's a certain sense of security for us as parents knowing that our children can stay in district in our community with educators and families that they know. It's really wonderful. I wanted to know if you anticipate any concerns or barriers to staffing those classrooms or having the space for them.
Mrs. Bogash, I don't anticipate any problems with either.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you to you, whoever else was part of this decision. I'm very happy to hear it. I hope maybe it's something that will get expanded further than 7th and 8th grade too.
She was just saying thank you for whoever was responsible, and hopefully it expands beyond just the 7th and 8th grade.
It is something that we hope to continue. Obviously, when we get to 9th grade, we're now earning credit towards graduation. So that might present different challenges, but no challenges that we cannot reach and surpass.
Okay,
As you said earlier, and I greatly appreciate it, our goal is if we can provide the services, we want our students to stay here
yeah,
and exhaust all possibilities. So the class that you speak of, we started recently within the last 3 or 4 years. And the child study team, the board, we don't really want to start something that we're going to have to change at some point. So this is something that we're committed to. The children have been thriving in that classroom.
yes.
And in their mainstream opportunities, they're doing very well. They're vital parts of the school community. And I could not think otherwise of what to do in the future.
Yeah, thank you for that, because it's really important. It takes them so long to just get settled and make friends, and it's really working nicely. So thank you again. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else here? I knew Jimmy wouldn't let us down.
Jim Fauché, 147 10th. Can you just give us a brief update on where we're at with the renovations at Doyle? It's been a while, and I know the construction seems to be moving ahead. Are we ahead of schedule, behind schedule?
Well, obviously, there's 2 parts. There's the renovation and there's the construction. So from a renovation perspective, in existing Doyle School, that is pretty much completed. With the exception of this summer, there'll be the Highland Avenue wing of our existing Doyle School. The last 4 classrooms were not touched this summer because they served as storage for all the other items. So they will be renovated this summer so that the entire existing Doyle School, floors, walls, ceilings will all look the same, no more different color schemes, and match the new wing. The new wing right now, if you've driven by, we're starting to see walls go up. What you don't get a chance to see is, I'm not a construction person, but the wiring, the plumbing, that's all going on behind those closed walls. And everything that I have heard indicates that we are completely on target for a September opening next year.
Awesome. The other question is, at the last meeting, you guys discussed student records kept on file at the individual schools. Are those records available to parents or guardians upon request to go through the records to see what's there as far as the students' information?
That is part of the law, yes.
Okay,
All you need to do is contact your child's school with some advance notice so they have everything ready for you. Absolutely.
awesome. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? All right, close the hearing of citizens. Those here, anything we receive?
Nothing on
All right, I will close the hearing of citizens altogether. Trustees, final comments, questions?
The next meeting is the
March 18th. So on the, what?
at the intermediate.
We had a March 24th and a March 10th meeting. We've since collapsed that to a March 18th meeting. It's going to be at the intermediate school, so we'll only have one for March. It is an important meeting because it's the day before we need to submit our budget to the county. All right, motion to adjourn. Mr. Biamonte, Mr. Garvin, discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Thank you. I'm off tonight.